All right, let's go ahead and skin this bad boy to the joints. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the root joint. I'm going to grab the geometry. I'm going to go to skin, bind skin. I'm going to make sure it's joint hierarchy. Click bind skin. All right, let's go and test it. Ooh, there we go. Excellent. You know, so the eyeballs are not following. That's not a problem right now. We're not even worried about that. Let's test all of this. Nice. Whippy, whippy action. Yes. Yeah, okay. That can be fixed. That can be fixed. All right, that all can be fixed. So this is all stuff that we can work with. Okay, but we need to do some weight painting. But this will work. This is good. So we need to do some weight painting for the skin. Okay. So I'm going to go to skin, weight paints, paint skin weights right here. And what we basically have, let's go open up the, there we go. If we open up the tool settings, is we have a list of all the different joints that this is attached to. The skin is attached to it here. And what we can do is basically just paint the weights for each one of these. Now, the way that we can think about this is weight painting is essentially done on a per vertex basis. So each vertex, more than essentially two lines come together, is a vertex, okay? Weight painting looks at each one of these vertices as a bucket. How much influence can each one of these buckets hold, and from how many joints can it hold it? Okay, so right here, if we look at this section, see how it moves part of the belly in and out? What's happening is this joint right here is basically having influence on this part of the belly and this part of the belly. That's not how it physically should work. So what we can do is we can say, hey, I don't want this part of the belly and this part of the belly to listen to this shoulder joint. Doesn't need to do that. Not even something we need to worry about. So what we can do, go back to skin paint weights, and we can actually start at the root and start working our way around and painting weights and kind of reinforcing how the body is going to react. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and you'll see as I'm starting to paint, you'll see the back to its original position. See that right there? I'm looking at the basically I'm just kind of paying attention to the root joint right through here, okay? Just like that. Let's actually use a color ramp instead. I feel like the color ramp is a little bit easier to see. I use B as in boy to make my brush get a little bigger, a little bit smaller if I need it. And just under replace, I'm just doing it a value of opacity of 1, a value of 1. And then, yeah, there you go. Okay. So if I jump down some of this area, actually, let's just work our way down the spine. That's a good pattern to go with. So I'm just going to go down there and just work my way down around the body. I see like all of this right here that's getting pulled. I need to go ahead and tell it to go back. See that little spike right there? That has a lot of influence on another joint. So we just need to kind of hammer that back down. Okay, I'll go to joint 2. Right here, or the pseudo hips, I guess I should say. So it's a fish, they don't have hips, but the rear fins, right above the rear fins. Okay, right here. And just reinforcing that. Now I'm not going on the fins because the fins do need to be able to kind of do their own thing. I'm kind of circling them a little bit since that joint's really close to it. Now there is this groin joint, or this kind of pelvis joint that's right here. I'm not really worrying about it right now, just simply because I don't really need to. It's not really going to be carrying any weight anyways. Now on this tail joint, I'm going to go in, just kind of reinforce that area right here. See these little fin tips here have a little bit of influence from that tail joint. I'm going to make my brush a little bit stronger. This is the strongest version. And I'm just going to go and wipe that out. Just like that. Let's go to tail joint 4. Go to a softer brush. Tail joint 5. Just kind of going around. Tail joint 6. And just continue on to 7. So just like that, just kind of working from the core and work your way out. So you see, if we go down to the back fin left base joint, I need to actually wipe that out. So I'm going to go in. It's like that's really this joint right here, this kind of hip joint. And I'm just going to go through and just kind of clean that out right there. It does not need to have any influence on really anything other than the leg or the back fin. Same thing here. This is a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole just because you're kind of going back and forth, kind of wiping things out. Just kind of go in, just wipe that out. The values here, basically, blue is really, really close to 0. So you'll see a lot of that kind of around here. You see where it starts to lighten up a little bit more. That's where you get more of the little pieces that kind of pop in and out. You need to actually kind of reinforce this a little bit. So I'm going to go back. Let's do this area right here. Just like that. And then we'll do this one also. All right, so this front fin up here, I need to go ahead and take out a lot of this. This is just not needed. Get rid of all that. And just kind of work your way up. Little areas you'll see it just kind of pop up just a little bit for whatever reason. Kind of containing that shoulder influence right there. I'll go down to here, can take out some of that. Okay, just like that. The neck, I don't really need any influence all the way back here. Just kind of wipe all that out. And then I can go in and do a nice strong band right around right here. So something like that. Head joint, I'm actually going to do the upper jaw, upper head quite liberally. Since this basically is just one big piece of bone, essentially. It's very large and stiff. All right. Oh. Okay. That jaw pivot right here. Basically everything underneath. A little bit of that tooth is getting into it, but we can deal with that in a second. Okay. Doesn't have to be 100%. We're just trying to get it to be good enough. So then when we pose it, it doesn't like freak out on us. Something like that. Okay. All right. And then draw a head tip. I'm just going to go ahead and take any possibility of anything coming in from here. Okay. So I think that'll work. So I'm going to go through and just smooth these out just a little bit. So that the transitions are maybe just a little bit more gradual. And what I'm doing is I'm going to smooth. I can brush smooth it if I wanted to, but I'm basically hitting flood, and that's just smoothing all the vertices affected. You'll see it kind of just adds more gradient to everything. And the pelvis, honestly, it doesn't need to necessarily carry any weight. It can, but it's not going to move. So it's not really all that needed. Got a little bit of something right there. We'll see if it causes any issues for us. Ooh, that's going to cause problems. That's not good. I don't want that. I didn't have that one here, did I? Let's see it. make sure. Okay. Let's just add a little bit. Smooth. You'll see it does kind of smooth out the shape a bit. Well, basically when it deforms, it smooths it out. All right, let's test it out, see how this looks. It's already, I mean, it's looking better. Let's go and test out the tail. So see how it looks bending. See how it kind of folds a little bit right there. So that's good. Okay. It's a bit interesting right through here. That could probably be worked on a little bit more. But we get some folding probably from the weight banding as well right in there. Let's go ahead and test the head. So what I'm looking at is I'm just looking to see if there's any geometry that kind of pokes up or moves that I'm not really seeing before. So that looks good. Let's go and test the jaw. Okay, I got a little bit. See how that tooth right here moves when I open up that jaw? So I don't want that. I need to fix that. It's got a little bit of influence right here. I'm gonna go in, clean that out. So it should not move with it. And then for smoothing, I'm just going to go manually smooth it right here, just like that. And then I'm going to go to replace and just wipe this out entirely. Just make sure we don't have anything moving at all. See how that kind of shifts down a little bit. I don't necessarily want that. I'm going to go through and just very quickly run a smooth so it's more of a gradual change. That's what I'm looking for. And then when I close, it all just kind of comes together. That looks good. Cool. Ah, it's ferocious. Love it. Okay. Big reason for making sure your controllers are zeroed out before you attach them. I am going to go in and zero out all of your controllers, and if the thing collapses, it means you did not freeze your transformations. So I want to make sure we do that. All right, let's check this one. It's not bad. Okay, that looks good. A little bit of movement right here. And that should be fixed. It's not bad right there. And yeah, looks pretty good. So this little bit of movement right here, let's fix that. I'm going to move this over. I'm just kind of activating where the problem is. And let's do, there's it's right there. You see that little highlighted area? I'm going to go and just kind of move that influence and see how it just kind of like softly goes back down. That's what we want. Just smooth it real quick. Looks good. Looks good. Now, is it ever going to move its fin like that? Probably not. But we want to make sure that we have a really good rig to work with. Perfect. All right. Now, set driven key. What are we going to do? What can we add for the set driven key? So we could do a set driven key for mouth, for opening and closing the mouth. That could work really well. So that could work. So I would not necessarily need to have a jaw control that I had to do like that. I could literally just have, and then have a little attribute over here that I change value on that would open and close the mouth for me as I needed it to. So that could work. So let's go ahead and go through the process of actually making that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete the jaw control since it's going to be redundant anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and create the attribute. So I'm going to go over to my head controller. I'm going to go to Edit, Add Attribute. And I'm going to go and give it a name. I'm going to call it jaw open, close. And I'm going to give it a value. Okay. It's going to be basically a closed and an open value. So it's going to be from 0 to 10. It can be any value, but it does need to have a minimum and a maximum. And usually I'll set it to 0 and 1 or 0 and 10. It's easier to kind of remember that than like some random value. Default's going to be set to 0. I'm going to click Add. You'll see it pop open right here. Okay, so I'm going to go and click on the controller. We're going to go under Animation, go Key, Set Driven Key, Set. Grab the box. Okay, this is going to be the driver of the animation. So I'm going to click Load Driver, and you'll see that right there. The driven is going to be the object that is going to be activated. It's going to be actually animated, which is going to be the joint. So driven is going to be, and as it moves, it's going to be rotating. Let's test it. Looks like the Z axis. Okay. So it's going to be rotating the Z axis. So set driven keys work on values. So at a value of, so let's say 0, I want the mouth to be closed. At a value of 10, I want the mouth to be open. So what I'm going to do is with that joint clicked, this is already set to value of 0, the attribute is. So I'm going to go ahead and close my, I'm going to go and close the mouth. So let's try to find a natural place for that jaw to kind of close. So I kind of just moved it forward just a little bit. So I'm actually going to do a rotate Z and a trait X, Y, Z. So I'm going to grab all 4 of those attributes because what's going to happen, it's going to rotate down, but the jaw is also going to move back a little bit. So you'll see it when we actually get it working. I'm going to go and click on key. So we're good, we're there. I'm going to go ahead and grab the controller, and I need to change this to 10 right here. So I just changed it to 10. I'm going to go ahead and open the jaw. And I'm going to go and rotate, or actually move the jaw back a little bit. So it's actually going to get a wider gape because of that. Actually, I'm going to overdo it just a little bit. Okay, jaw open close is selected, still in the set driven key. translate XYZ as selected, and rotate Z as selected on the joint. One hit key. Okay, so now we have a blue dash right there. So let's go and test it. Jaw open close is set to 10. And if I go to 0, you see it closes. So you'll see that it moves and it rotates. Pretty cool, huh? That is your first set driven key. Also just realized there's some geometry moving right here. So we need to fix those waypoints. Yeah, that's you. That is going to be pivot right here. All right. I'm just going to go through and just kind of paint that out. We do not need all of that moving for sure. All right, let's go and test it again. Much, much better. That is a very scary fish. All right, finally, we have these two beady eyes. We can go ahead and just honestly skin them to the head. These eyes are not going to rotate. Normally, I would set up eye controllers with the aim constraints. I'm going to stop here, honestly, for you guys. I think this is a lot for you to take in for your first rig. So our next rig out doing eyes, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and grab both the eyes, grab my head joint, go back to rigging, skin, bind skin, and those eyes are going to be joined to the head now. So sweet. I have my alpha predator of the Precambrian era. He is ready to rock and roll. We gotta put him in a sweet, sweet pose. Well, that's not a sweet pose. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and double check and make sure everything is in the proper organization for the rig, because we're almost finished. I'm going to go ahead and grab all of my groups, hit Control G, fish, char, group. So that's going to be one group to contain everything. So we're good to go there. So we're good there. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and save our file. Actually, we have one more thing we need to do. One last thing. Let's test this guy and make sure nothing collapses. So I'm going to go ahead and take away the joints. I'm going to grab all of my controllers. Set it back to 0. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, so I think we're good there. And we do need to put in a world and a placer controller. So the world, I'm going to put right there. Placer, it's going to be a little bit smaller. Fish world on. Fish placement con, both of these. We need to freeze transformations. We need to delete by type history. We need to parent or nest the world con under the placer con. And then this guy is going to go into the con group. And then the root is going to go under the placement con right here. Okay, so what that means is I can grab the world con, move them around. If I grab this, I can move this around, easy peasy. And then if I wanted to, I could move them over, offset them, rotate them around if I need to. All right, so when you give them to me, make sure you have them in neutral pose, everything looks good. You're good to go. Save it. And that's it. All right. We are finished.